अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज का हमारा टॉपिक है हैज़ आईएमएफ फेल्ड पाकिस्तान। आईएमएफ ने पाकिस्तान को क्या फ़ेल किया है। तो आथर हैं आज के ये डॉन न्यूज़पेपर से लिया गया है, मोहम्मद ज़ुबैर खान। ठीक है। इंट्रोडक्शन है, पाकिस्तान स्टैंड ऑन द ब्रिंक ऑफ अ डिफ़ॉल्ट इवन एज इट रिमेन्स इंगेज विद द आईएमएफ एट द tail end of a 3-year program. While the country's economic woes are rooted in its own inept policies, IMF has escaped scrutiny of its stabilization programs that have failed to put Pakistan on a sustainable path in 22 attempts, and certainly needing another program immediately after one conclude. उसके बाद है वाई पाकिस्तान इज़ फोर्स टू सीक आईएमएफ प्रोग्राम। पाकिस्तान आईएमएफ को क्यों रीच करता है, पाकिस्तान आईएमएफ से क्यों कर्जा लेता है, वाई रीज़न है, क्या है। थ्रू आउट द डेवलपमेंट एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ पाकिस्तान इर्रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर, गवर्नमेंट जो इर्रिस्पॉन्सिबल खर्चा करती है उसके बेसिस पे लीड टू द क्रॉनिक फिस्कल डेफिसिट, माउंटिंग डेट एंड राइजिंग इंटरेस्ट payments, contributing to excessive domestic demands and a loss of reserves. With scant attention to a competitiveness, export program remained weak. Hence, Pakistan experienced persistent foreign exchange crisis, forcing the country to seek IMF programs. How IMF has failed to put Pakistan on a sustainable path. IMF ने कर्जा हमें दिया है, ठीक है, उसके कर्जे के बावजूद भी हम एक ऑन राइट ट्रैक पे क्यों नहीं है, हम एक डेवलप्ड क्यों नहीं है, एक सस्टेनेबल पैथ पे क्यों नहीं है, क्या रीज़न है उसके। और उसका सबसे पहले है बिल्डिंग रिजर्व्स विथ बोरोड फंड्स। ईच टाइम आईएमएफ प्रोग्राम बिल्ड रिजर्व्स विथ बोरोड फंड्स, पेइंग प्रीवियस डेट with new debts, loans, and arranging a financing for a foreign exchange shortfalls from various sources. Programs were approved if creditors could be repaid, not necessarily if Pakistan would be able to stand on its feet. उसके बाद है नंबर 2 पे unaddressed issue of increasing foreign exchange earnings. As soon as IMF programs end, the fundamental issue of increasing foreign exchange earning from imports re-emerged. The IMF programs failed to recognize the competitiveness. That is why the issue of increasing foreign exchange earnings remains unaddressed. Number 3 पे है neglecting impact of a tax measures on investment. In its narrow focus on reducing a fiscal imbalance through revenue measures of every kind, fund programs paid little heed to impact of the tax measures on investment, resources allocations, economic activity, export promotions, and income distributions. As a result, exports remained stagnant, investment rates low, and SMEs collapsed in recent years with rampant unemployment. Number 4 पे है blind eye towards expenditure growth. With a blind eye towards expenditure growth, the IMF insisted on a complex tax measures, ignoring their impacts on economic activity. Consequently, growth has declined below 2%. Exports are declining further from a low level, and inflation has increased to a historical high of 40%. High interest rates, number 5 पे high interest rates have crippled industry and increased the burden on the budget, claiming its 5.2 trillion, over 60% of all taxes revenue. IMF have prescribed ever increasing interest rates in Pakistan, which have risen from 11% to 20% over 3 years, further contributing to increased public debt to over 80% of GDP. Despite high interest rates, inflation had steadily risen, raising the cost of doing a business and dampened investment and export. Thus, IMF programs have rewarded the rich but failed to protect the poor from the burden of inflation. इसकी कंक्लूजन पे आते हैं हम. Even if Pakistan reaches an agreement with the IMF to avoid an imminent default before June 23, the economic crisis would have been postponed, not overcome. Looking ahead, Pakistan will need another IMF program in July, but it must be a stronger homegrown adjustment program or restructure in its debt. आई होप आपको ये समझ आया होगा. अल्लाह हाफिज़.